You know how when you're about to do something exciting for the first time and in your mind it's like this? Oh. But then you get it and you realize it's turning out to be more like this. Well, don't worry, when it comes to building your own watch from DIY Watch Club, I'm confident that your experience, like mine, will be somewhere in the middle of these. That is to say, it's gonna be fine, and more importantly, it's gonna be successful. So stick around and see how cool this turned out.
Hey, did you know it's a great day to wear a watch?
What's up, Schwartz Force? Welcome back to the channel. I missed you guys and gals. For about the last year or so, I'd seen a lot of my fellow watch fam put together their own watches from DIY Watch Club. So when the company reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in checking it out, I was super stoked and actually a little bit nervous. They were kind enough to send this one in for me to check out and assemble, and I do get to keep the kit and the watch, so I want to be upfront with you guys, but I will share with you, of course, my honest thoughts so you can decide and determine if this is something you'd be interested in. The watchmaking kit that I decided to go for was their dress version, the Mosel model with blue dial, shown here with the upgraded K1 crystal and Miyota 8315 movement. I also opted for the Pro toolset as I knew that I'd be working on other watches in the future, such as this GMT watch that my good buddy Wells drop kicked into a wall. Now you can see the hands are all tangled up like a Twizzler's rope candy. And that is a big part of this watchmaking kit experience. You're not only buying the parts to assemble your own watch, but also the knowledge and the practice on how to work on other watches, whether that be removing a crown, installing and removing a movement, a dial, or the handset itself. Let me take you through the experience now. When first unboxing this kit, you see the presentation is what I may call clinical. Just everything about it is branded and has its own special spot in the case, and you're immediately greeted with this welcome card that walks you through the steps on how to get started with the video tutorials. There's also a coupon code, welcome aboard, for 10% off your purchase. Feel free to use that. And the top tray holds your screwdrivers, hand removal and installation tools, the wood peg stick you see here, tweezers, and case back removal tool. Now under that, we can see the lower tray, which contains our watch strap, watch case, the movement, and this small box which has the watch hands packed nicely and safely into it. Tucked away off to the side is a bracelet pin removal tool and another box that has an extra screwdriver, phone or tablet stand, a loop holder, and extra pins. To the right of the case, we see the case back removal tool, the air blower hand pump, the watch cushion pad, and this loop with 3x magnification. Inside this last box, we also have our finger cots, Rodico, and suede cleaning strips. Off to the side is a separate box with additional parts I'd requested from DIY Watch Club. And this has a separate set of loomed hands, which I wanted for this particular build, and also an extra strap, which is this vachette strap, which is a very nice Tuscan leather that will develop a darker patina over time. And while we're here, let me go ahead and give you guys a wrist shot. Today I'm rocking my Blancpain 50 Fathoms on this very nice Artem sailcloth strap. Make sure you check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. After laying out all the parts on my workbench, it's time to start watching the tutorial videos. And while the kit includes the finger cots, I'm going to opt for some of my nitrile gloves, which I know will ensure I don't put any fingerprints or smudges onto the watch components. Also, I wanted to mention that while the kit includes the loop and the loop holder, I actually have a pair of professional loop glasses that I'll be using during this installation. Now, as we get into the build, do me a huge favor and smash that thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. It really does help, and I appreciate you guys. Now, I start with removing the case back from the case using a piece of thick plastic and using the case back removal tool, and then of course setting the crown off to the side. Then we will take the movement out of the plastic holder and remove that plastic crown and stem that it came with and replace it with the DIY crown and stem. Then we'll carefully place it into the watch movement holder. Next, we'll carefully unpack the dial. What a gorgeous sunburst blue dial this is. Look at this thing. It's this deep, rich royal blue, and the stick indices that curve toward the edge of the dial are done beautifully. After attaching the dial to the movement, we'll take a look and ensure that the rotor can freely rotate and that the dial is set flush against the movement. Here we have our upgraded Mosel hands with loom applied, which we'll carefully unpack as the hands are the most delicate components throughout this build. After turning the crown until just after the date has clicked over, we'll begin our hand installation. This by far is the most challenging part of the experience, so take your time and take a break if needed. Starting with the hour hand, we'll position it into place and secure it, then we'll carefully do the same with the minute hand. Once completed, we'll test out how close to midnight we got with our hand installation. Okay, just prior to midnight, I am 100% okay with this. Let's keep going. The seconds hand was so challenging that I actually forgot to record myself doing it on camera, but here you see it is installed correctly and running. And after hacking the movement, we'll blow off any dust and use the Rodico to ensure there's not any smudges or dust on the hands, the dial, or the indices. Moving to the case, we'll do our best to remove any dust while avoiding placing any prints or smudges onto the inside of the crystal in the case. And once fitting the dial and movement into the case, we'll clean off the case back and then install it onto the case itself. Next, we'll remove the blue film on the crown using some Scotch tape. Really quick little hack here, and then we can install our straps and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Now, as you see up close, there's some small specks of dust inside the glass, so I may eventually take this all apart and give it another cleaning, put it back together soon. The vachette strap, while very light right now, will eventually take on a gorgeous light tan color, which I know will look amazing paired up with this blue dial. So I'll be posting photos of that on my Instagram in the future, so be sure to follow me for more. So let me give you guys my honest thoughts after embarking upon this project. What I love about it is that you're given everything you need and then some in order to put this watch together and to take it all apart. It's what I would call strictly for beginners, as an intermediate or advanced modder would probably get more of a kick from building the whole movement from scratch, installing the crystal into the case, and regulating the movement and more. But for me personally, by doing this build, it really opened my eyes to how small the tolerances are for watches, especially those hands. There's little room for error, and that's one of the cons because there's so many times you could potentially screw this up, so it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but I would not let that concern deter you from giving this an honest go. For most of us, doing something for yourself and being successful gives a lot of meaning behind the project, and when someone asks about this watch in the future, I'll be able to say, oh yeah, I built this watch myself, which undoubtedly will take the conversation to a very cool place. And to me, that's the biggest pro about the DIY Watch Club watches. I think what I'd like to see someday is DIY Watch Club offer upgraded movements, maybe a trade-up program where you could send in the Miyota movement and pay a slight fee for, let's say, a Solita movement and holder that's made for that model of watch you own. I think that would be super cool, and this type of watch kit seems like it could be for a niche audience, but I'd love to hear what you think, so drop me a comment and tell me if you've ever built a DIY Watch Club watch, or if it's something you would consider, and why or why not. Also, if you like this video and want to see more from my channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out. Till next time, guys, may the Schwartz be with you. Take care.